This is Channels Television's breaking news.
And news just in here in Nigeria is that the appeal court sitting in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, has affirmed Donald Duke as the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, the SDP. The court sets aside the ruling of an FCT High Court, which stopped Mr. Duke from parading himself as the candidate of the Social Democratic Party. The three-man panel, led by Justice Abdul Aboki, held that the application is illegal and unconstitutional and ought not to have been entertained by the lower court. And continuing with our show now on the domestic commodities, we'll be looking at soybean today. Nigeria is the second largest producer of soybean in sub-Saharan Africa and ranks 15th globally, with an annual production of approximately 600,000 tons. However, this is 40% below an estimated potential of 1 million tons annually, resulting in a $344 million revenue loss. How better can Nigeria maximize this potential? Let's hear from Tobiloba Ogunpolu, a research analyst with Financial Derivatives Company. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Nigeria produces about 600,000 tons of soybean with a value of $206 million. The potential output is actually 1 million tons. That's about $344 million. How better can Nigeria maximize on its current output?
Okay, so let me start by saying the top producing states are Benue State, Kaduna, Plateau, and Niger State. And Nigeria produces about just 600,000 tons of soybean, and which is valued as at $206 million rather. So for Nigeria to maximize the output, we need to improve the current output that we have presently by improving the yield of soybean. So we've noticed that farmers have improved seed, but they don't know how to use it. So some farmers recycle the seed, and at the end of the day, when they use it for more than 3 cycles, it is less viable. So another thing that can be done is the proper use of fertilizer, proper irrigation, and better seedling. So if this can be put in place, we know that Nigeria can maximize its output and produce about 1 million tons.
Okay, you've generally covered the figures for the Nigerian market. Global soybean prices had increased by 0.69% year to date to about $9.13 per bushel. What's the outlook globally for soybean prices this year?
Well, over the last 12 months, we've seen that prices have reduced by about 8%. But in the near term, we expect prices to start increasing. And this will be as a result of increase in demand for the commodity. We know a lot of people are health conscious. People are shifting from other commodities to soybean. Soybean is very good in protein. It has high protein nutrients. And also, we've seen an increase in the demand for animal feed. We know this is a main constituent for animal feed. So we've seen companies use more of soybean compared to groundnut that they used before. So increase in demand for this commodity will prop up the price of soybean in the near time. So we expect about the 7 to 10% increase in the price of the commodity to about 364,000 tons.
Okay, do we see Nigeria becoming an exporter of this commodity as it's in high demand, and how will the global prices affect export revenue for companies that use soybean for their products?
Okay, the total global output is about 345 million tons, and US and Brazil constitute about 34% of the total. Nigeria produces about just 600,000, and that is not even up to 1% of the global output. So if Nigeria can increase the production to about 3 million, then we can export. But for now, the available soybean should be used for domestic purposes, and for industrial use too. So instead of importing soybean, which some companies do, the best thing for now is to produce locally and consume locally and for industrial use. Then for companies that use soybean, so for animal feed companies that use soybean, we expect them to probably shift to some other substitutes rather, such as groundnut for animal feed. But for companies such as Nestle that uses it for Cerelac, that uses it for Maggi, because it's a major constituent for Maggi, Cerelac, and Nutrient. So we expect companies like this to import to be able to meet up with their output. Then if companies like this import, then we expect companies like this to have increase in their profit margin, to have a negative profit margin rather.
Okay, thank you very much, Tobiloba, for sharing your thoughts on the commodity soybean with us on the program. Moving on to more stories now. Kenya plans to restrict imports of second-hand cars to newer vehicles in an effort to boost the domestic automotive sector by reducing the dominance of the used car market. The East African nation undermined what was a thriving vehicle assembly industry in the 1990s with policies that encourage imports of cheap second-hand cars. The government now intends by 2021 to restrict imports of cars to vehicles that are 3 years old or newer. Current regulations allow the importation of cars up to 8 years old. Imported second-hand vehicles account for about 85% of Kenyan car purchases, amounting to 86,626 vehicles in 2017 and gobbling up precious foreign exchange estimated at about 60 billion shillings a year. We'll take a moment on the program now. When we come back, we'll cross over to the Nigerian Stock Exchange for an update of the day's trading activities. Stay with us.